to the Mad Montreal Man channel. I'm your host, of course, the guy with the glasses, the guy with the beard, the ugly guy who collects toys and rants. But we're not doing that today. No. I'm going to do something, a new thing I want to do every now and then, where I do a spotlight on an artist. Now, this is an artist I was fortunate enough to know back in Montreal when I used to work at Noble Bookshop, which is a comic book store back in Montreal. May it rest in peace. It was a great comic book store. A lot of regular artists went there, like Jeff Isherwood, Denis Rodi, Bernie Moreau would go there as well. It was a fun place. It was a family. And the same thing back at Vancouver, 8th Dimension. Quite a few comic book artists who live in Vancouver would shop at 8th Dimension. But I got to meet this artist. And I was blown away by his stuff. And I actually I'm fortunate enough to have a few rare things he's done. Now, he's also an illustrator as well, and I hope he's still doing well. His name is Richard Forg. So, Richard Forg, F-O-R-G. If you don't know about him, look him up. But, for example, this is one of his books called Crayon Vagabond. Now, I am fortunate enough to have number 13 of 50, and this is basically a collection of his artwork, and it's a very European-style artwork. I love this book. I'm happy I have it. He was also probably one of the nicest people I've ever met. I also have a little gift card he gave to me, a little hash scan he did. But one of the things that blew me away the most was, you don't see this in too many comic book artists nowadays, a love for history. And yes, I still have his phone number. I probably doesn't live anymore, but I still have his phone number. But I like to promote great artists. And this is a French-Canadian artist that I will definitely recommend. If you ever see his work anywhere, pick it up. But he actually did a published graphic novel of the War of 1812. Now, he dated this 1813, and it is a beautiful, beautiful black and white on brown paper graphic novel. And when I saw this, I loved it so much. There were a limited supply. I actually went and bought one for each of my daughters. So eventually, these will go into their collection. For now, they were part of my private collection. But it wasn't just that. He also understood and respected culture. And if you are a fan of Indigenous Canadian art, and you like people who respect it, this came out in 1996. And it's from Gentlemen of Fortune Publishers. And it is so well drawn. It is so respectful. When I was in Vancouver, I actually showed this to some of my friends who are Indigenous, and they actually thought he was Indigenous. They were so impressed with the amount of research and care that he did in writing this book and illustrating this book, that even they were impressed. And it is a beautiful story. I mean, I have done very well to maintain my copy of it over all these years, because I actually have a poster of this as well, but that is stored away because he signed the poster for me. But as you can imagine, as a Canadian, I'm very proud that a French Canadian that I had the wonderful fortune of knowing does such wonderful work. I know he's still doing work at some point. I've been out of touch with him for many, many years, but I wish him well. And I also wish all of you well. I'm sorry if my throat's a bit sore today. It's been very cold today. As you know, what's been going on. I won't have to rehash it. You know what's been going on. But if you do get a chance, and you can get this wonderful Fable of the Northwest book, I recommend it. It's actually, by the way, it's not in French, if you're wondering. It is in English, because Richard, as a typical Montrealer, is bilingual. But if you are French, je peux vraiment dire, il faut que tu achètes Épopée 18 Tailles. C'est fantastique. Toute une histoire. It's wonderful. So that's why I wanted to do this little focus on him. He's one of the great artists I knew from Montreal. I am still honored and pleased to this day I was able to meet him. I do recommend, if you ever see any of his work, don't hesitate. Purchase it. I look forward to eventually returning to Montreal one of these days. And when I do, I will do my best to look him up. And hopefully look up some other people I've missed from Montreal. Like, I would love to have Bernie on the show. I would love to have Jeff. Jeff lives in Ottawa, by the way. If you don't know who Jeff Isherwood is, he's another great comic book artist and inker and writer. He worked on Conan, Suicide Squad, Doctor Strange, a lot of books for DC and Marvel. And he actually teaches in Ottawa here. And I still keep in touch with Jeff. And every now and then I might send Bernie a happy birthday message. But that's the one thing I know. If you do get, this is the rant part. Yes, you weren't expecting a rant, but I'm going to rant. If you do get a chance to meet and get to be friends with artists, even if it's just like an acquaintance thing, I encourage it. I definitely encourage it because artists have a different way of seeing the world. They have a beautiful understanding of storytelling. And if you're fortunate enough, even to just know them a little bit, like for example, I was put in contact, thanks to my buddy Shane, with Nigel Flood and Robert Crowley. These are Irish artists and they're fantastic. I love their work. And it's one of those things I encourage because you can't just look at Marvel and DC, especially not the way they've been going lately. Whew. Sometimes you have to look at the independent artists. Like, for example, in Vancouver, one of my friends in Vancouver, Jason Copeland. Kill All Monsters. His latest book is called Full Tilt. I recommend picking those up as well because it's nice to get a different style of artwork that's not always the same formulaic type stuff. I actually do enjoy Vishal Forg. I do like that European style. After all, I am, technically speaking, I'm French and I grew up reading a lot of BD, which we will be talking about down the road as well. But I do recommend, if you know people who are artists who work in the industry, don't bug them for autographs. Don't bug them for like, hey, what do you think of this? Just be friends with them because their art, having a conversation. One thing I do miss a lot about Nova Comic Book Shop was actually playing ping pong with Jeff Isherwood. The guy was great. And Bernie as well. Bernie would come in. He would occasionally have a beer. His band occasionally would play. And it was fantastic. Vishal would come in. He was always such a positive person when you walked in. I miss that. Jason Copeland, by the way. Jason, I still curse you for my desire to have a slush every week, even if it's winter, which I haven't done lately because, as you know, my budget's really, really, really tight right now. But that's it. I hope you enjoy this new little segment we're doing called Focus on an Artist. And if there's an artist you know that you'd like me to focus on, I might actually have their art books. I have a lot of art books. Yes, I collect art books as well. And I know I'm not as usually funny as I normally like to be. I like to do my dark comedy. As you know, I like to do voices, even sound effects. But, yes, Jack. That's Jack. I think Jack wants to be on camera. You want to see Jack? Jack. Jack wants to be on camera. There's Jack. Yes, Jack. Ah. And if you're wondering, his full name is Jacques Kirby. That's right, he's named after Jack Kirby because when I first saw him as a kid, I looked at him and I went, he's a Kirby cat. So I named him Jack Kirby. And he wants attention. Yeah. When do they not want attention? If I put anything in my hands, if I'm drawing, he wants attention. But that's pretty much it. So getting back to the point, encourage artists to keep drawing. Encourage independent books. Encourage comic book stores because without them, a lot of the stories we need to see disappear. And I'm just saying, that's it. And now with Jack tormenting me even more loudly. Yeah. That says, I want more water. The water bowl is full, but he wants cold water, not just cold water. The joys of being a cat dad. Hey. But now, hopefully, to get back for those who've been watching the series so far, hopefully things will get better. Hopefully, well, they have to get better because by end of February, if I don't have an income, I'm going to be in trouble. Let's be honest. But for now, I'm holding on, surviving. I hope you do the same. Hopefully this bad time in your life, if you're having a bad time in your life, will pass. If you're having a good time in your life, keep it up. Enjoy those moments. Enjoy getting to know artists. It's worth it. Even if I don't see these people for years, the fact that I actually had the pleasure of having conversations with him, the fact that I got to play ping pong with Jeff, I got to meet wonderful artists like Camila Darico in Vancouver. I'll be talking about her down the road too because we're going to be doing one of these little focus on an artist every now and then. But I thought I wanted to start off with one of the artists that has always impressed me the most. So that's what is Vishal Forg. And we'll see you next time on the Mad Montreal channel. Until then, have a good night. Keep collecting. Keep on surviving. And keep on staying positive. You have to. No matter how dark the world gets, stay positive. You know, it's the best way to survive. And on that note, I'm going to survive some more tonight. Have a good night.